so strange when it's changing, yes indeed. Well, I've seen the hard times and the pressure's been on me. But I keep on working like a working man do. And I got my act together, gonna walk all over you. And back my bullet.
Howdy everyone, Colorado Biker Prepper here again, coming back with another video. This one I'm going to cover something a little bit different, and one that I have not seen on YouTube or anywhere else pretty much for preppers, and that is what happens when you run out of ammo. I'm talking long term. If something happens, you can only reload so many times. You can only reload an existing brass shell so many times before it can't be reloaded anymore. Plus, you also have to have primers. What happens if you run out of primers? Or what happens if you can no longer get projectiles? You don't have a bullet mold, anything like that. Well, I've got my backup. My backup is a black powder pistol. And I also have black powder rifles. They're just too big to show on the table here. But I have these as a backup, as a just in case. And they're also fun to shoot and cheap to shoot. Sure, it takes longer and it's not as easy, but actually I like it. I think it's quite a bit of fun. Black powder would be a fallback on my other weapons, my other firearms, if I ran out of ammo. You can only, keep so much ammo. And what happens when you run out completely? What happens if you can't get primers or new projectiles or powder for reloading? And you can only reload an existing brass shell so many times before it's not safe to reload anymore. What happens after that? What are you going to do? This is my black powder pistol. This is made by a company called Filipieta. That's it's made in Italy, but they do a good job. They make a nice pistol. This is a replica of an 1851 Navy Confederate Colt. They're great weapons. They actually work really well. You'd be surprised at how accurate these things can be. And how much damage they can really do. So we have all the stuff out here that you would need for shooting. Nice thing about the black powder too is that you're not constrained to using preloaded cartridges. You're not constrained to ammunition supply or availability. You can always get the stuff you need, and with a little bit of chemistry knowledge, you can make everything you need. Very simple. Let's start with one simple thing, the ball. I just have a ball. I've got a bullet mold that you can melt down lead or any other very soft metal. Lead works great. There's going to be lead wheel weights everywhere. I get my lead from the tire place down the road from me. They give them to me for free. Otherwise, they have to pay for a hazardous disposal fee for all their used wheel weights. So they just give them to me for free. They don't want them. They said they're happy I take them. I've got probably about 200 or 300 pounds of lead wheel weights, and they're easy to melt down. You can do it over basically a campfire. It doesn't take a hell of a lot of heat to melt lead. It's very simple to melt. So I got a bullet mold, and you get wheel weights off of cars or any other source. Fishing weights are also another good one. And I just melt them down and pour my own ball and my own lead balls, and they're great. And next is the caps. These are percussion caps right here. Now the percussion caps, this is what sets off the powder charge inside the cylinder. And they're just little pieces of copper. And inside each one of those caps, you can see here in the green one, inside each one of those caps is a tiny piece of cotton. And that cotton is soaked in soaked in fulminated mercury. Something you can make yourself. All you need for that is mercury, nitric acid, and ethanol, Everclear. So if you know, you can look it up on YouTube and learn how to make it. It's very easy to make. It is a little bit dangerous to make, so be very careful. I do not suggest anybody make them, but these are about $4 or $5, maybe $6 for 100 rounds. This is number 11 Magnum Percussion Caps by CCI. These work really, really good. These are excellent. I could stockpile thousands. I actually have about 1,000 or so percussion caps. Didn't cost me a whole hell of a lot. So the percussion caps. Next thing you need is, of course, the wad. Now this goes between the powder and the ball. The wadding can be anything. I've got these nice pre-cut wads that I got, and they're just wool. That's all they are. It's just heavy worsted wool. It's just pounded wool. But you could use paper. You could use anything to put between the powder and the ball. They used to use paper a lot in the old days. That was just real easy to do. I've got a bunch here. This is just a little tin that I have that has everything in it. 6 shots. It's got the wadding and the caps in it as well. So I've got to where I can just seal that up, and that just stays in there. That's 6 ready to go. This right here is a capper, and this contains all the caps, and it makes it faster and easier to reload the caps in the pistol, to put the caps on what's called the nipple back here, so you can cap it up pretty quick. And of course, the last thing is powder. Now this is nice little flask here, nice powder flask. Great little powder flask, and it's bronze and brass, which is really important when you're doing black powder. You don't want anything that's going to spark. If you notice, everything here for loading is either brass or bronze. Okay, brass, bronze, everything. This is brass. It's just tarnished up a little bit, but it's brass so that you don't spark. Okay. And then you also have to have powder measures. I have 2 different powder measures here. I have one for target shooting and one for real shooting. This is 30 grains. This is 35 grains. That's what this pistol was designed for. But the black powder right here, and with a little chemistry knowledge, a little basic knowledge, that you can look it up on the internet too and make your own gunpowder, your own black powder, not modern nitrocellulose or smokeless powder. This is black powder, and this is stuff I made myself. And all you need is sulfur, match heads, ammonium nitrate, which you can get from fertilizer sources, or you can scrape it, little crystals off the top of a septic tank and get it, and charcoal, which you can make a charcoal oven, or I do it in my fireplace, my wood burning stove. And you screen it to make sure it's all the uniform size. Then you just mix up the ammonium nitrate, or potassium nitrate as well. You mix up the potassium nitrate is preferred. It's also known as saltpeter. And you mix that up with some distilled water with the sulfur, dissolve it, and then soak the charcoal in it. And then you end up with something, and you screen it again to make sure you get a uniform size. Then you end up with black powder. That's black powder. That's the stuff that I make. And it works really good. It works real simple. And you can buy commercial black powder as well. It's actually pretty hard to find right now, but it's getting easier and easier to find. That's probably about 4 or 5 rounds, maybe 6 rounds right there. So that's enough. That's about 4 rounds. But that's black powder, and you can just make it yourself. So essentially, I can make everything that I need for using a black powder firearm. I've got bullet molds, so I can make my own bullets from lead or wheel weights off of cars. I've got the recipe to make caps, but I got a whole bunch of them, so I won't run out of those. And then I got the recipe and the method to make the black powder. So I can make the caps, the ball, the black powder, and for wadding, I can use old rags. I can use paper for the wadding here. I can use old rags, paper, whatever I can come up with, and that works out great. I also have several preloaded cylinders. This is a preloaded one here. And I have something in here called bear grease. And this grease prevents chain firing. So when you fire one, it doesn't set off all the others. But that's very rare. But it seals it up too. Seals it up so water doesn't get in there, doesn't get to it. And if you have caps on the back, which I took them off just so that for the video, so you could actually see the nipple. These are the nipples right there. This is what the cap goes on. And then the spark goes through and sets off the black powder. So, but I just wanted to take that off to show you that. But the caps actually just fit right on. It's a little bit difficult without the capper, but they just fit right on like that. That's a pretty tight fit, actually. I think it's a different size. Whoop, there we go. But that's how they fit on. That's what this is for. That's what this right here is for. It's for loading them on. It's putting them on quickly. It holds the cap here. And then just pop, 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 pop. They're on. Everything goes in here. As you can see, I have 2 black powder pistols. So when they're loaded and ready to go, I've got 12 shots before I have to reload. That's the drawback. Reloading takes forever. I've gotten really good at it. I can reload a cylinder of 6 in about 2.5 to 3 minutes, somewhere in there. If I got everything laid out and I'm ready to go, it takes me about 2.5 minutes. If I got to fumble around for stuff, it takes me 3 or 4. But they are really good. They're handy. They work great. They're very reliable. These are about the simplest firearm that you can get. It only has 3 moving parts on the inside. Very simple to fix, very simple to repair. I can make my own parts for it. Other than that, it's a very, very simple weapon. The sight is back here and on the front. This one I've modified the sight a little bit just for a better sight profile. And these are actually very accurate. If you get good with these, you'd be surprised at how accurate a simple ball, cap and ball revolver can be. And when people say cap and ball revolver, they mean the percussion cap and ball. That's a cap and ball revolver. And they are actually very good weapons. So I'm going to go out and do some shooting in the future. When I do that, I'm going to make a video and go over how to use them, how to load them, everything, how to clean them. Even cleaning these is easier because they come apart and you can actually put the steel parts in the dishwasher. Or you can just use hot water. Works great. That's the nice thing about black powder is you don't need any solvents. You don't have corrosive primers or anything like that to worry about. It's a very simple system, but it works really well. It works really well. And this is something people who are interested in prepping might want to consider as a backup. And the rifles as well. The rifle would be the first thing that I would go for. For one reason is they can be incredibly accurate. They're great for hunting. And they're really, really good. They're really, really good for hunting. I've used them several times. I do a lot of black powder hunting. I've got deer, elk. They come in 50 caliber. So it's a big round too. It's a big chunk of lead flying down range. That thing is a heavy, heavy piece. But they're really good for taking down deer, elk. Also with black powder, with a 50 caliber rifle, you can also just put in the powder. You can put in the powder, a wadding, and then put on top of it birdshot, number 6 shot, number 7.5, 4 shot, and smaller. And you can actually turn it into a small shotgun. You just got to put the powder in, put the wadding in, put your shot in, put another wadding in to hold it in securely, and you have a small shotgun. So that works out really well. So I suggest you all give black powder a thought. Give it some thought. They're fun, and they're really fun to go out shooting. That's the neat thing. And it kind of gives you an idea of what we used to have to deal with, what people used to have to deal with before we had preloaded cartridges, before we actually had brass cartridges that you just drop in. It makes it really interesting. So, but think about this. I can make everything I need to fire this. I do not need to go down to a store and buy ammunition or buy primers and brass and smokeless powder and projectiles. I've got what I need here. As long as I have this and a little bit of time and some ingenuity, I can make it work. There's all sorts of ways to make them work too. So, give it some thought. Love to hear your comments. Put your comments down below. Give me some ideas if you have them, and I'd love to hear from you. Thank you much. We'll talk to you later.
I'm jumping at the bit.